I was scrolling on WEBTOON one day, trying to find my next series to read. Obviously, I would go to my preferred section because that section never misses when it comes to a good series. But as I was scrolling through this app, I saw this one series. A series that looked very different from all the other ones. It was called Don't Read This by I Drink Mercury. Okay, I honestly don't know what to say. When I went to the description of this series, I saw that it said, quote, "There is no story to read here." I was a little confused because I was like, wouldn't you want to have people read your story? Wouldn't you want to bring readers in with a nice hook? But no, this story didn't say that. But then I pressed the read more button and saw that there is a warning that this series contained themes of mental health and anxiety. Now I was really questioning what this series was. With the somewhat simplistic art style and the little amount of detail present, I could not pass this one up, so obviously I had to read it. Right from the get-go, you get an entity or something with no arms trying to push you away from reading the story, saying that you should just leave. Well, this is new. I've never had someone or something tell me what to do when reading a series, so I had to keep reading, because this thing ain't stopping me. I kept reading, and this thing's saying that I'm an imaginary being that was conjured up by it, but I happen to have a mind of my own, and don't follow this thing's rules. Right off the bat, this is probably the most fourth wall breaks I've ever seen with a series, let alone a series on WEBTOON. I've read over 20 series on this platform, and I've never seen a single fourth wall break until now. Both the mix of the pretty simplistic art style and the short chapters that probably take 30 to 60 seconds to read, I start to learn more about this entity, and why they're in what they call nothingness, which is pretty much a black background. They're in it because they believe that if they stay in there, they're safe from the outside. They don't have to get hurt, and they don't have to worry about getting hurt either. They stay safe and are like that for eternity, by themselves, with nothing to do, no one to talk to. The only thing they can really do is walk around and think. This is really sad. Thinking about that makes me sad. And isolating yourself from real life because you're afraid of taking risks or don't want to get hurt is very depressing. For a series that's pretty high ranking on the horror charts, this isn't that scary. In fact, it's more of a tearjerker than any other series I've read on WEBTOON. It probably is the saddest series I've read on this app. But anyways, throughout the rest of the series, you end up going with this entity outside and meet its evil twin or something that forces it to stay in nothingness. And you do a lot of other things with this thing. I won't explain any more about the plot because I don't want to spoil anything. I want you guys to check it out and read it yourselves. And yes, you are a character in this series, but you don't have any freedom over what you do, and ultimately you're just reading. You do get to follow this entity around wherever it goes. And if you're an empathetic person who has a heart, your decisions will most likely align with the decisions made in this story. I enjoyed this aspect. Unless you want to play a video game, this is the closest you'll get to an interactive story, without it being a choose-your-own adventure, which I think would be really cool to implement. And throughout the rest of the story, you still have this very simplistic art style that's being used with a black and white color scheme. I never had a problem with this type of art style. It matched with what was being done. And honestly, I think if the art had more detail, the story would lose that tone of ambiguity, and it would lose that void type of atmosphere. Kind of like that SpongeBob episode where Squidward goes into that void after he travels in time. This is what that story feels like. An entity in a landscape of nothingness. No one's allowed to hear you, and you, the imaginary creature, is just there following this entity wherever it goes, and does whatever it wants you to do. This is definitely not your traditional series. It's not your long arc, fighting, backstory type of romance, revenge story. This is pure psychological emotions being poured out in the most minimalist way possible, and I love it. Everything is done with a purpose, and with the few amount of characters present in the story, it feels like every character was thought out well. And because of that, they are more developed, and it's easier for you, the reader, to understand them and their goals. What this series also touches on is the theme of loneliness, and being afraid to step out of your comfort zone. It's kind of similar to Welcome to the NHK, where the MC of that show is alone and doesn't want to return to society. But with Don't Read This, everything's pushed to the extreme. There's nothing beyond the entity's decision making and where they can go. It almost seems scary because you don't know what's out there, what could be lurking behind that door that so happens to be in this realm of nothingness. But at the same time, you want to root for this entity and want them to go outside and be fearless and take on the world because it's relatable. It's relatable for anyone who goes through social anxiety or people with the fear of stepping out of their comfort zone. And with the character design being very simple, anyone can identify with them. But that's all I think of the series. There are 2 chapters posted each week, which you can read at your own pace. But honestly, if you were to binge this series, you could probably get caught up within 3 hours or so. It's not that long of a series, and you'll find moments where you'll just scroll down once or twice, and then you're on to the next chapter. I'm not going to give a final rating of this series because this is definitely one that's experimental. And with those series, the whole point isn't to make a highly developed narrative that a huge audience will like. While that's important, the main focus on experimental stories like this one is to make the reader ask questions and make them question the plot and interpretation, which will be different for everyone. So because of that, my rating will be you should check this one out of 5 channel heads. Don't let the title fool you, just read it. That's going to be it for this video. If there's an anime, manga, or manhwa series you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Until then, I'll see you all in the next one.